Well, here we are. It's Earth Day 2020. Wow. Wow. Let's just see if I'm going to get this recorded. Well, we'll rely on this video. To the heck with the other one. I'm on Zoom now too, I think, but who knows. Earth Day 2020. Wow. 30 years ago, on Earth Day, April 22nd, 1990, we were on second base in Skydome with 18 vision changers celebrating the idea that our coming together had some sort of meaning. We developed a curriculum called the Vision Changer Project, and ultimately it went to 30 countries around the world. And here we are, fast forward. Today, we had hoped and had worked on with our friend Daniela on creating a magnificent presentation here in Playa del Carmen. We had artists coming from around the world. We were going to build a big peace sculpture. We were going to have artists doing all sorts of different things. And we had the Cultural Affairs Department involved in Playa del Carmen. The mayor was involved. The planetarium was involved. And we were getting the involvement of all the planetariums in Quintana Roo, in Chetumal, in Cozumel, in Cancun, and in Playa. We had this grandiose idea of how we were going to celebrate Earth Day 2020, which was to be, well, there's one other thing we had planned for this day, was to bring an amber museum to Playa del Carmen. Bring an amber, the amber museum that I helped instigate 38 years ago when I first got involved with the amber industry in Mexico, in Chiapas. Well, one by one, all of our ideas that we are planning on fell apart. One by one, click, 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 click. And poor Daniela was caught in the middle. Oh my goodness. And here we are, April 22nd. None of that is taking place right now. Maybe in the future we will have the Amber Museum coming to Playa. That's still a possibility. But the real purpose for me of this day was not all that other stuff. It was to launch the UN Office of the Future. The UN Office of the Future. What is the UN Office of the Future? Why do we need it? You only need to watch the news today to understand why we need the UN Office of the Future. The systems are all broken. Nobody can agree on anything. The United Nations is being dissed by the WHO, by the President of the United States, who is now going to hold back funds from the WHO. And the United States, a bankrupt country, being run by a bankrupt mind. We're all looking at this bankrupt organization, institution, to get us out of this mess. How stupid are we that we even give credibility to that ignorant man who runs the United States? How ignorant are we? On Earth Day, we take a stand. The UN Office of the Future isn't even in the dialogue in the United States. Well, let's talk 1 second about how bankrupt they are. They put so much credibility into their oil. I checked yesterday. oil is selling at minus $40 a barrel. Minus $40 a barrel. That's because when they shut down all the systems, they had all this energy going into storing up oil, getting oil up. The supply is oversupplied. They shut down. We haven't had planes flying all over the world for quite a while. Everyone, you can't go out, you can't drive, you can't get rid of the gasoline. The oversupply is astounding. If we go into a true supply and demand model right now, today, with oil, you can go to the pump and they should pay you to fill up your car. That's what a supply and demand should mean, but you can't do that. Why? Because we tax the gasoline that's being sold, and that tax runs our economies. A major thinking problem we have to get over, and I don't know how to get over that one, to be honest, other than we need to implement the 1% solution yesterday, not tomorrow. We got to start doing the 1% solution, because it's the rest of the economy. If we don't start implementing the 1% solution, there's going to be more chaos coming out of this coronavirus experience. This is the wake-up call for humanity. This is the wake. I mean, try and imagine for a moment. We grew up playing baseball, playing hockey, playing basketball. What crowds we wanted to encourage crowds. We would go wherever we went. We went to concerts with tons and tons of people. Well, we're not going to have that for 2 years. 2 more years of this. They're talking about maybe in 30 days we're going to open things up, bring the economy back, before they find a solution to the coronavirus. Mentally deranged, these people are. They're going to start bringing people back together before we find a solution to the problem. At the same time, they are implementing 5G technology all around the country, and they can't build them fast enough. And 5G technology, just in case you don't know, weakens your immune system. If nothing else that it does, it also helps us communicate, yes, yes, yes. But unless you protect yourself properly, and who knows what properly is anymore, the 5G energy that hits our body and our being disturbs our system so that we can't protect ourselves. Fortunately for me, I can breathe. My passages are good. I'm able to protect myself. I breathe every day. I take my medicines. I take all my vitamin C's. I take my vitamin D's. I take my garlic. I take my Jewish penicillin. My chicken soup. I'm looking after myself as best I can. I'm in the danger zone. Because I'm over 70. That's danger zone. Anyone who's over 70 is in the danger zone. So you got to learn how to look after yourself, and they don't teach you what you need to do. They don't teach you how to breathe. They don't teach you the breathing systems that make your body stronger. Every day you need to clean your system. Every day you need to clean your system. What is wrong with the people that are in charge of our administration? Oh, go into isolation for 14 days. That's going to do something if you don't know what to do? It's craziness. Chaos and craziness is running our systems. Overlay that with the UN Office of the Future. Where are we going to have the UN Office of the Future? And what is it going to share with us? It's going to share with us how to be healthy human beings, number one. It's going to teach us about corporations being socially responsible, called the ISO 26000. What is the ISO 26000? How many of you have even heard of the ISO 26000? And how many of you understand what its intention is? The ISO 26000 is a list of hundreds of standards around the world, what it means to be following the rules. And they're not even really good. They're not even really good. They're the lowest standards that we could possibly negotiate. Not the highest standards. They're the lowest standards, and we're still not even meeting the lowest standards. What's wrong with us? I haven't heard, they don't even talk about the ISO 26000 in the United States. They don't get it. They don't get it. How ignorant are the people in the United States? Incomprehensible how ignorant they are. The ISO 26000 is based on one simple idea. It's the intention to do good. POGG, founding principle of Canada, peace, order, and good government. It's the Canadian standard, and that's why Canada should be leading this initiative, but our Prime Minister is caught up in his little tangled web of political intrigue, trying to do the best he can. God love Justin Trudeau. He is such a great possible world leader. He's only possible. He has the potential to be a great world leader. He just doesn't have the stuff of being a great leader because he doesn't understand what his father stood for. It was Pierre Elliott Trudeau that understood that Canada could be a world leader. It was his father that helped bring the Constitution back to Canada. It was his father that did this, and he's living in the shadow of his father. Oh my God. Justin, wake up and take the lead. Get rid of those clowns around you that mouth political expediencies. Canada is positioned to take a lead position in the UN Office of the Future, promoting the ISO 26000, the intention to do good around the world, and promoting UNDRIP, which you stumbled on in the first go-round with UNDRIP in case you haven't noticed. We noticed UNDRIP, even though Carolyn Bennett, your Minister of Foreign Affairs, went to the United Nations and sat down at the desk at the United Nations and said, yes, we will implement the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. And she tried. God bless her, she tried. But the government shut it down on the third reading at the Senate. Probably against the Constitution, because the Senate has no right to do what they did. They have no right to do what they did. And I pointed this out to the Governor General of Canada, that the Senate had no right to defeat UNDRIP in the Senate. That was contrary to our Constitution, and it was contrary to the Truro Wampum Treaty, and it's contrary to all laws on the planet today, and our Senate defeated the third reading of UNDRIP in our Senate. But the good thing is, and we should know this, at the next iteration of our government, where the speech from the throne, they did promise again to bring forward UNDRIP. Unfortunately, they don't even know how to bring it forward when they bring it forward, because they're not thinking about what it really means. This is another astounding observation, and it follows through with that those in New Zealand, who were also part of the last 4 countries that came into UNDRIP, they're committed to UNDRIP, but they're doing it backwards. UNDRIP is not just for the indigenous people. It's for all the people in the country. And they're talking about it as if it's something they just have to teach the indigenous people. What an absurd application of the use of our human minds is to think that UNDRIP is only for the indigenous community. Yes, it is for their benefit. Because, and how many people know this? The difference between UNDRIP and the Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 is that indigenous people, under the law, are now human beings. Now human beings. How many people know that and understand that? They don't get that. That's what it is. Why do you think they needed UNDRIP? If we already had the Declaration of Human Rights in 48 and we've been using it until 2010, but we took 10 years of energy from 2000 to 2010 to implement or pass and get all the countries of the world to agree to UNDRIP. Now it's time to implement it. Now is the time to implement it. UNDRIP is something that might have a role to play in this current chaos that we're involved in. I don't honestly understand the nature of the current dilemma. I just know that it presents the opportunity for us to rejig our thinking on how we think about the way things are. This is what the UN Office of the Future is to help implement ISO 26000 and UNDRIP into our society. And the third notion of the UN Office of the Future is, how do we finance ourselves? How do we do that? Remember, we said somewhere back when Lester B. Pearson, the Canadian Prime Minister, speaking at the United Nations, indicated that if we took 0.7% of our GDP, 0.7% of our GDP, and put that into development, we would have enough development to balance the playing field. Well, when he did enunciate this, it was not just 0.7%. That was for countries. He also indicated corporations should tithe 0.3% for a total of 1% into the global system. Well, this again is what the UN Office of the Future is intended to do. We are going to establish in every country business transactions that bring funding into the UN Office of the Future, and it will define how we share the money on the planet, collectively with the other 36 donor countries. Not the 200 countries that we can't manage, that everybody is concerned who's got the power, and it's all in the grasp of the World Bank that is run by corrupt people still following old broken rules. Now, here's what we are championing. We are not only just calling them out, we are, in our situation here in Mexico, working with the Maya people, challenging the World Bank to explain what happened with Project P169159. Pardon me, 156. Let's say that again. Project P 169156. We better have that correct, because that program has $405 million in it that was promised to the indigenous communities in Mexico, the Maya. And how much of it have they seen? I can't tell you. They won't answer the questions. Steen Biskov was asked, and he said, oh, I can't give you that answer. So I'm taking this information of this project, and I'm getting all the different people that I know in Mexico, and also now other people around the world, to have them explain to the UN Office of the Future, what happened to the money, honey? What happened to the $405 million? How much of it did the indigenous people get? Did my friend Louis Na and his Hanabskan people, did they get anything? I can tell you they got nothing. Nothing, nada. In Playa del Carmen, one of the wealthier portions of Quintana Roo, Playa del Carmen, with huge developments here. Nothing. It took me 9 months to get their papers in order and open a bank account in their name. 9 months. As long as it takes to incubate a baby, took to get this organization in a state where we can now receive monies and help the people in Mexico. So, this is what is happening this Earth Day. The energy of the Maya is being called together. Let's flash back a little bit. How did I get involved with the Maya? In 2012, when you might remember, in 2012, there was the notion that the eagle and the condor were coming together in Chichen Itza. Master Humboldt did a big ceremony in Chichen Itza. I attended that ceremony, and in fact, I participated to the extent that I was in the volunteer village and held sacred space during that big event. And from that event, I got involved with other Maya elders up in Cancun, and we even went up to Mexico City and did a big ceremony up just outside of Mexico City. But carrying the message of the eagle and the condor, the coming together of the energies of the peoples. And at that time, UNDRIP was there. We were talking about it. But the indigenous culture didn't get it themselves yet. And even now, the indigenous community doesn't really fully grasp the intent of UNDRIP. And I've introduced it at the mayor's office here in Playa. They don't get it. At the Human Rights Commission here, they don't get it. They're all in this other world. I'm in this world where it was called the United Nations. In each of these projects, we spent 10 years of our time getting things passed and agreed upon by all the countries of the world. And now is the time. And what happens, this coronavirus thing comes up, and everybody, I don't know what to do now. And frankly, I don't either. I just do know that the UN Office of the Future offers us a small hope. A small hope. What the UN Office of the Future is going to be doing in the 36 countries is we are going to redefine the way development money gets spent on the planet. Ironically, or by design, the UN resident coordinator does not exist in the developed countries. Hello? Why does Canada not have a UN resident coordinator to coordinate their development money? I can't tell you why. I can tell you, though, that when the Prime Minister goes on the international stage and says, oh, I'm going to allocate $420 million to help disadvantaged women, sounds good. In the 2 years since he said that, I've only found one organization, only one, that has accessed those funds. And that organization refuses to explain how they got it. It's CARE. C-A-R-E, CARE. How did they get that money? No, they won't tell us how they got that money. And nobody will tell us in the international community further how that money, that $420 million that Canada allocated, was supposed to stimulate another $4.5 billion. Nobody knows what happened to that. And I haven't tracked that. I'm having enough trouble with this $400 million that was allocated in Mexico. And the people in Mexico don't know about it yet. And I have some friends here that tell me they know AMLO, the Mexican Prime Minister. Because the Mexican Prime Minister can shake this out real quick. I believe. I don't know that. I think he can. But he has to take a stand. But he has to know what he's talking about before he can take a stand. And nobody can get the information to him because I don't have a connection, even though many people have told me, oh, I can get you information to AMLO. Well, so far, nada, nothing. So, we're stuck here now. What is going to happen? I can't tell you. The UN Office of the Future, it is being launched today, Earth Day, on the 30th anniversary, or the 50th of the first Earth Day, but the 30th since the Vision Changer project, when we first got involved, our 30th anniversary. And it's time to change the vision, change the way that they're doing stuff. I mean, I talk to many people in Canada, and I go on our little local community shows there, and they always ask good questions, but they really don't get it yet, and I don't know why they don't. I don't get it why Rick Uflick at the UN, We the World, I don't get it why he doesn't get it yet. I don't get it why David Gallup at the World Service Authority and the Global Citizens Organization, why he doesn't get it yet. I don't understand why these people don't get it yet. How long is it going to take them to understand that the ISO 26000 was a game changer? We have to implement it. How UNDRIP was a game changer, and we need to implement it. Can you believe the World Service Authority, they know that UNDRIP has been passed. They understand what it means, but they're still promoting the Declaration of Human Rights of 48. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with that picture? Hey, Michigan Cook. David Gallup, wake up. And also those other international world citizens organizations. They just raised $120 million. God bless them. That was wonderful. Lady Gaga, Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert, if you would just know what I know, you could do so much more than what you're doing. I watch you every day. I love you. You're a beautiful man. You're so intelligent. You grasp all the problems so well. Much more so than the mediocre guys who have good audiences, Jimmy Kimmel. But they don't get it the way you get it. You're a very, very bright man. And who else are the guiding lights out there? Well, we used to think Bono was, until Bono took this much of the 1% solution. The little Irish rocker took 1% idea, and they made it a 0.001% idea back in 2000 when I presented it to Bono, and it became Product Red. You've probably heard of Product Red. Well, that was from our initiative 20 years ago. We're 20 years delayed because of that Irish rocker. Shame on you, Bono and Jamie Drummond. Yes, you've done good. Yes, you've done good. But you haven't done what you could have done. The other thing that none of these people have even attempted to digest is the use of Poe. Poe. Peace opportunity. Polite. Poe. How do you use Poe? Poe means, and I think you should know Poe by now, but you don't. It's 50 years old. Poe means, I think I know what you mean, but can you say it to me in another way so I may more fully understand you? Or Poe. It's not a complicated word. It's a word that needs to be used because when you think you know what I'm saying, let's be clear, you don't. So you should be using Poe all the time when you're talking with me so that you will understand not only the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual underpinnings of what I talk about, but you also need to understand the economics, the ethics, the energy, and the health behind it. These are the dimensions. These are the 8 dimensions that you invoke when you make a communication from one person to another person. You're speaking in these 8 dimensions already. And you need to be trained to understand that. You don't get it. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, just on its face. Economics, ethics, energy, and health. These need to be understood. And then there's John Elkington. Wow. Well, John, just so that you know where he is today, I'd like you to know where he is today.